Hey guys, it's Pavel Barber here, and I have a very special guest. It's Daniel Coyle, who's the author of one of the most influential books I've ever read, called The Talent Code, that explains how people get to be the best in the world, the best at what they do, and where other people fall short. So Daniel, thanks a lot for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Pop. Really, it's going to be a blast. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So on the front cover of the book of The Talent Code, it states, "Greatness isn't born, it's grown. Here's how." Can you briefly elaborate on what that means?
Yeah, this book sort of started with me traveling around to these different talent hotbeds. I went around the world. Went to Russia to a little tennis club that's produced tons of top 20 women players. I went to a music camp that's produced all these incredible musicians. These places that have produced statistically impossible numbers of really, really talented people, a lot of them kids, some of them adults.
Yeah.
And I looked at the patterns of the way they practice. I look at the patterns, the way they're motivated, the way they're coached. And in each place, I saw the same thing, the same pattern of practice, the same pattern of motivation. And that's the growth we're talking about. And that growth happens in your brain. You know, in hockey, we talk about muscle memory, but actually all that stuff, all that beautiful skill, you know, any Gretzky move that ever happened, that happened because his brain is telling his muscles what to do.
Right.
You know, we talk about muscle memory, but muscles actually don't have any memory. Your brain has a lot, though.
Right.
Your brain is telling him exactly what to do, exactly where to put the puck, exactly how to perceive the obstacle. And so all these places succeed in growing talent because they have aligned what they do every day.
Yeah.
Every day with the way that you grow a faster, better brain. And these places are all really good. When I see you do the Patrick Kane challenge, that's your brain. And it's incredible to see, you know, it's incredible to see that. And so that's what's being grown, is you're growing your brain in a way that makes you a little more accurate every day, a little more fluent every day, a little more precise, and a little bit better.
Awesome. Okay, so I get a lot of kids and they talk about, and it stems off that last question, a lot of kids saying, you know, he was just biologically, he was born good, he had a special gift for the sport. How would you respond to someone who says that someone is just born great into something?
Well, I'd say a couple things. I mean, the one is that genes do matter in some ways. It would be helpful if I were 6 inches taller when it comes to playing basketball.
Right.
That'd be awesome. But I would also say that most of the prodigies you see in the long term, you have to take the long view. Everybody learns at different paces, but everybody's on the same path.
Right.
Most prodigies, if you look at the science, a lot of them burn out. The best player in the world when they're 9 years old does not end up being the best player in the world when they're 30. The NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball is filled with people who were not the best, who became the best over time. They just had a Super Bowl in this country.
Yeah.
0 of those players that played in the Super Bowl were 5-star recruits coming out of high school.
Really?
0. And there are 82 players on those two teams.
Wow.
So, the prodigies are flashy. It's fun to see.
Yeah.
But in the long run, you have to align your daily practice with the same way that everybody in the world gets better, which is with really high quality practice every day in a space that puts you on the edge of your ability, that helps you get a little bit sharper than you were yesterday.
Right. And I think that's a great point, because I see a lot of players who, when they are really young, they kind of take a seat and they rest on their abilities because they're already so much better than the rest. But I think you're right. It's important. You're not comparing yourself to the rest. You're comparing yourself to yourself and constantly pushing just outside of your comfort zone, not someone else's.
Exactly right. And there's a thing that happens in hockey, that happens in every sport, where somebody gets a little bit better at a young age and then they can just blow past people. Right?
Yeah.
Well, suddenly they're in their comfort zone and they're not being pushed anymore.
Exactly.
And being a prodigy actually is a really interesting place to be, because you're constantly being told you're awesome.
Yeah.
You're constantly being told you're gifted.
Yeah.
And you tend to, when people tell you that stuff, you tend to take a little fewer risks.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. That is
If
true.
you're really comfortable, you like that status, and there's all kinds of psychological experiments that show this happening. When you tell somebody you are so gifted, their natural inclination is to take fewer risks.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's the best way to slow your learning process.
Yeah.
So constantly praising people for their effort and realizing that it's not some natural gift that got you here. It's It's the way you work.
Alright guys, so that's part one of my interview with Daniel Coyle. It was really exciting to get to go one-on-one with the man who has seen talent being generated all across the world in so many different fields. I just had to share it with you guys because I wish I had a book like this when I was younger. Understanding how talent is grown is a very important thing to know if you want to be the best at what you do. And for our next topic, Daniel and I will discuss the importance of shrinking the space when it comes to skill development, and how games like futsal help develop the world's best soccer players from Brazil in the same ways that Sweden has developed some of the world's best ice hockey players by playing floorball. Both sports shrink the space, challenge your handling abilities, promote more touches on the ball, and put you under pressure far more often, which helps put you in that skill-building sweet spot on the edge of your abilities. See you guys next time, and as always, remember, it's not just what you do, it's how you do it.